Hi, everyone. So this week we're trying something a little bit different, and we're going to see if we can continue with that for the coming few weeks, which is we are trying to break up our episodes into 2 per week. As you know, we've been really good about maintaining our schedule of like 1 episode every week for the past few months. But now we're trying to do maybe shorter episodes, but increase the frequency. So this week, you're going to have 2 episodes that are of shorter duration. Send us a note at youpodcasting@gmail.com and let us know if this works for you.
Hi, this is Asim.
This is Sujoy.
This is Amrita.
And you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast about the 3 main Khans of the Hindi film industry.
Amir,
Salman,
and Shahrukh. Hi, you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast regular feed. Thank you so much for your support over the years. We now have a Patreon channel with bonus content and exclusive merch for those of you who would like to support us. Every dollar goes towards creating more and better content. Visit us at patreon.com/Khandaan podcast.
Hi and welcome to a new episode of Khandaan Podcast. My name is Asim Bernie. I got it right, Sujoy. I got my name right and all. I have Sujoy and Amrita back together, back all of us. Hey, everybody.
hello.
Hello.
Let's jump into it. I think we wanna be a bit more time conscious this time, right? So we want to cover a lot of things and get it done in one episode. I do want to thank Beth for stepping in on the last episode.
Yes.
She was a great, as always, top friend. You know,
The toppest of friends.
the toppest. Let's talk about a few of the things we've been watching. A lot of trailers came out, a lot of movies came out, and let's get into it. Amrita, what did you watch?
दिल्ली का एक बहुत बड़ा तबका ऐसा है जो रहता बस्तियों में है पर काम उनके लिए करता है जो दिल्ली के महलों में रहते हैं ऐसे शहर को पुलिस करना पेचीदा काम है
मैडम सर सेक्शन 302
ऑन माय वे मैम
ठीक है तुम एड्रेस भेजो मैं आ रही हूं मल्टीपल मर्डर
I have been watching Delhi Crime, which came out quite a while ago, but it's the second season of Delhi Crime, the Shefali Shah series. I did not see the entire first season because that whole thing was just horrific. Like I remember the Nirbhaya case and everything, and it was just horrible. This one was a little bit more removed, so I was able to watch the entire series. And it's a really well-made series. This is the kind of show that, or, even movie, actually, I've been advocating for years. Just a well-made cop show, I don't know why India doesn't really do that, but now we're slowly seeing more of these come out. And I think Delhi Crime is like one of the better ones. Have either of you seen it?
I watched the first season, but not this new one.
I skipped it because of the reasons you mentioned. That I just didn't want to watch it. Honestly, can I jump into the second season without having watched the first one?
Yes. So it's a completely different case. I think what they're trying to do now is like every season is like a different case, and then she's assigned to it. And she's sort of like the moral center of the investigation, which is an interesting thing to have in like a South Asian context. But particularly in Delhi, where, you have like so much politics, and then there's so much poverty and class struggle. And it was really interesting because there's only like 5 episodes, and the first couple of episodes went in one direction, and it culminated in this sort of like mid-season lecture about bigotry of like a very certain kind. And I was like, this is very interesting. Like, I did not expect this series to go in this direction, but I appreciate it because there's still a lot of people who don't really understand any of the things that they were talking about in that particular episode. So that was really nice. And then, the way it wraps up, I think was interesting because I feel like a lot of the crime shows that I've seen on Indian TV or Indian streaming to be more exact. When it comes to the ending, that's where they fail to stick. And this one actually did stick its ending. It was it wasn't an ending that was everything was like tied up in a neat bow, but like it was an ending that was very believable, and I really I appreciated it.
So you'd recommend it? You finished it?
I was not bored for a single minute. Like I thought it was like really good, and of course Shefali Shah is just fabulous.
Yeah. She's the major reason I was like, I wanted to watch the first season, and then the second one, I wasn't sure if it was a follow-up or I'd miss out too many callbacks to the first season. So I'm glad you mentioned it, because it, I don't know about you guys, but I feel there's like not as much good stuff to watch. So I am looking for recommendations. So I'll put Delhi Crimes on my list then. Sujoy, what did you watch?
I watched Drishyam 2 at the cinema.
सच पेड़ के बीच की तरह होता है, जितना चाहे दफना लो, एक दिन बाहर आ ही जाता है.
I'm the content king this weekend. Because I found myself like, I think I have lost I actively cannot watch something on Netflix anymore, because I just, happen to just check my phone all the time. So I think it's, I need to retrain and recalibrate myself to focus something and develop the habit of watching something on TV without, having to constantly check the phone. So that's why I escaped to the cinema. That's why I enjoy the cinema now more. And there are lesser and lesser people at the cinemas these days, especially on a Friday afternoon where people are actually working. And I'm a jobless guy, so I'm at the cinema with the uncles and the aunties watching Drishyam 2. But I wanted to watch this because we remember watching Drishyam 2 in the heart of the lockdown, right? With the Mohanlal original sequel made by Jeetu Joseph. And also Ajay Devgan is not one of my favorite actors. When we were talking about this, I was dreading, because watching an Ajay Devgan movie would probably ruin my day, ruin the rest of the day for me. But also, Drishyam, the Hindi remake, kind of spawned this entire meme industry for the movie, saying, yaad hai na 2 October ko kya hua tha, and all of that, right? Baba ka satsang and all of that. So I was interested how they would develop this whole universe into this movie, and I'm happy to report that Drishyam 2 is actually a really good movie. I quite enjoyed it, even though, knowing what happens and all, I had pretty much forgotten what had happened, but I only knew the genius of George Kutty, and here Vijay Salgaonkar as played by Ajay Devgan, and also the whole dynamic of, Vijay and Meera played by Tabu. And then there's Akshaye Khanna, who is I always enjoy him on screen. So yeah, all of those elements coming together in a movie, written well, directed well, and all the twists and the turns of the plot. I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
I mean, I get your feelings about Ajay Devgan, but I think this type of role for Ajay Devgan is the one I can still enjoy. So it's almost like Zakhamish, that kind of Ajay Devgan is like the only Ajay Devgan I can still appreciate. And this is getting really, really good reviews, right? Amrita, even you were mentioning that it's like doing really well at the box office, right?
Right. I mean, everyone seems to love it, which it doesn't surprise me. I mean, even in Malayalam, the script was pretty good, like the twist and turn, and the reveal of where he actually buried the body and everything. I mean, that was a really oh my God, the audacity of this man. So, and also, I don't know, Sujoy, I think the question I have for you is whether they were able to translate the moral dilemma that his family, he and his family are going, George Kutty and his family are going through in the Malayalam original.
Yeah.
When we see them in the Malayalam version of Drishyam 2, they're basically sort of fracturing psychologically because of the guilt that they're laboring under. Were they able to address that in the Hindi as well?
Yeah, I think so. Especially because Ajay Devgan is such a pensive, sulking loner kind of guy, and B, Shreya Saran, she is perennially throughout the movie. She is her face lands on the inhale. She does not exhale the entire movie. It feels like that, because that's the kind of character she's playing. She's always alert. She's always like, just completely broken inside, and the guilt and the entire, because she does not know half of the story because her husband does not let her in on what's going on, right? Just because he wants to protect his family, but she's left hanging on, I can see that, and the entire family is almost on the verge of breakdown. Like anything happens is a big trigger for them, and that's the beauty of this. The first movie was about the genius of George Clooney, and B is about dealing with the aftermath and whether he can actually pull this off again, all over again, And I think they were able to translate that from the original.
How's Tabu?
Tabu is I think they underused her talent in this movie. There's more that I expected from her, more strutting and more dialogue buzzy, and I would have loved that. But I think that crown was snatched by Akshay Kumar in this movie. Akshaye Khanna in this movie. I really enjoyed. The entire second half is pretty much a face-off between Akshay Khanna's Inspector IG. I think Tarun Ehlawat is what he's called in this movie. Him versus Vijay Salgaonkar is what makes the second half of the movie, and that was such a treat to watch. It's pretty much masala, but also at the same time, all these twists and turns that are happening.
I'm just thinking if Akshay Kumar showed up in the Drishyam universe. It's so funny.
As Suryavanshi.
From a helicopter, chasing something.
And then Vijay Salgaonkar transforms into Singham.
Lovely. Not the theme the original Mohanlal was going for.
No.
Anything else you watched?
So me and you kind of punished ourselves into watching Godfather.
हमारे स्टेट के सीएम PKR गुजर गए, जो जैसा दिखता है वैसा है नहीं। ये दिखावे की दुनिया है, सब रंग बदलू गिरगिट है।
No. I made a commitment. You punished yourself. I think that's how it went.
Yeah. But then again, I thought I had nothing else to watch last night. I was completely really bored out of my mind. So I was like, I'm going to edit some pictures, and I put this as background music. And so I played Godfather, but the Hindi version. And you watched it in Telugu.
Yeah. I'm an OG, man. I keep it OG. Amrita, you don't know this probably because we made an agreement. Sujoy would go watch Drishyam 2 in theaters because I was too lazy to go to the theater this week. And I would watch Godfather, the Chiranjeevi movie with Salman Khan, because a few people had also texted me on Patreon, saying that, let us know what you think of Bhai in this. So I was like, okay, let's watch it. So it's remake of Mohanlal one after the other, which I didn't know that this was actually a movie that you'd recommended to me ages ago. I think Lucifer, right, Amrita?
So yeah, I didn't realize that this was a Lucifer remake.
Yeah.
Which
I have not watched Lucifer by me neither.
Yeah. So the thing is, Lucifer is a very particular kind of poison.
Yeah.
In which I feel like the Malayalam version is probably the only version that you can probably stomach without, wanting to kill yourself, because it's meant to be a very it's a star vehicle. That's what it was basically. It was about Mohanlal looking badass and doing being a man of mystery, which is, I think, probably easier to swallow at like the pitch in which Malayalam movies are made versus Telugu or Hindi. So I didn't really realize what this was. I didn't actually realize that. So now that I know what it is, I know what Salman's character is in Godfather. I didn't realize that he would have like that much of a role. Like I thought it was just like, I don't know, he was felicitating Chiranjeevi or something. I didn't realize that he was in it. But yeah.
Yeah. I honestly don't understand the movie. Like I don't understand because
me neither.
Also, the thing is, the last Chiranjeevi I watched was probably The Gentleman, like back in the 90s. Like, it's funny stepping into cinema when you don't know any of the iconography of the main star, right? Because these movies are basically cultish. Like he's a leader of a cult, and we are there to applaud him, right? Like 70% of the movie is basically Chiranjeevi walking inside and outside in slow motion and everybody standing up and clapping, when the background song is like, he is a god, he is the truth, he will deliver us. And it's like sure, like his son did RRR, so like, but clearly he seems to be the bigger deal. And like every actor, they have their mannerisms, they have their little things. And I'm sure that if you're a Chiranjeevi fan, all of that is like, oh my God, he's doing that thing with his arm or with his sunglasses or the way he's walking. But none of that resonates with me at all. So I'm just looking at a like kind of an old fellow with like a very bad toupee. Like that's what I'm seeing, which I get, like probably a lot of people now watch like an Amitabh movie and they probably have that feeling towards him, right? So I can get where it's coming from, but it's just interesting that, Rajnikant or Chiranjeevi are still allowed to be what Amitabh is not allowed to be anymore, right? Like already in the late 2000s, the Hindi audience rebelled and is like, we don't want this Amitabh anymore, become like an old guy or a principal. But I feel like with Chiranjeevi, that's not the case. They still want him to be like, that badass. So I was happy when Salman came in because that iconography I understand. Those mannerisms I get. And I'm like an idiot. I'm happy when he shows up on screen. Although I'm not, and I want to ask you this too, Sujoy, man. Uh-huh. Were they ever actually in the same room, or was this all shot on, Panvel's farm and they CGI? I'm not sure that Salman was on the set.
Either. No, I'm not sure. And also, like, I don't get why Salman is playing second fiddle.
Yeah, he's basically the outsourcing of violence. So, like, Chiranjeevi suddenly doesn't want to do any violence, so he gets Salman, and then Salman does all the violence.
But, like, I would get if Salman and Sanjay Dutt were in a movie and they were like, ye mere bade bhaiya hai, or, Jackie, to that matter. But I don't get that with Chiranjeevi, and that's what confuses me entirely. Like, yeah, I just don't get this movie at all. Yeah, especially like the Salman action scenes, and then I don't get it. I just don't get it. I tried really hard.
Yeah, and Amrita, I don't think even Salman has a bigger role. So I'm surprised to hear you say that you think he has a bigger role, because maybe it was so in the original version, but here it is a pretty much a glorified cameo to.
Yeah, I think the first appearance is just before the interval when there is the reveal that Salman is his accomplice. Yeah. And then post-interval, Salman makes an entry where he blows up a truck, which is driven by the guy who he beats up in Dabang as well as in Jalwa. And then the last final fight where they actually blow up, then they dance, and then they blow up again.
Yeah. Amrita, you didn't say exactly the entry of Salman. So Salman comes on a bike, Amrita, and he's sitting cross-legged on the bike. So one leg is on top of the other. You know what I mean? Like a half lotus pose, that on a bike, and the bike has rocket launchers.
Of course. I would expect no less.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if the original version had any of that. No. I'm imagining no.
I don't remember that. No.
Yeah. So yeah, I watched that for you, Sujoy, for the promises I made.
Oh, thank you. And I watched it for nothing.
Good. I actually watched a lot of other movies, but I think we want to get into that a bit, maybe at a later episode. I watched PS1 and I watched Dobara also, by the way, on Net. So this is the end of this episode. We'll be dropping another episode later this week, probably on Friday. And let us know if you like and enjoy these shorter episodes. You can find more of our work on khandaanpodcast.com. You can become a Patreon from $1 and support our work. Thank you for listening.
Khandaan